Hi everybody, we're going to talk to you about the cool world of food science, in particular STEM careers in chilled fresh food production here in the UK. Have you ever thought where food comes from, how it gets on the shelves? Where do all the ingredients come from? How do you make sure it's safe, it's produced sustainably, and it's nutritious, and the labelling matches up with all the science inside? We're going to talk to you really about the hidden world of careers of food scientists and technologists in the chilled prepared food sector, which is perhaps the best kept secret around in STEM careers. These are unique and exciting and highly innovative and sought after careers. And if you become a chilled food scientist, then you can be working anywhere in the world for any company at any time, because the UK industry is so well respected. I'm Karin Goodburn, and I'm a chilled food scientist. My background is biochemistry and genetic engineering degree, followed by a master's in food science. And I'm Director General of the Chilled Food Association, which represents the manufacturers of all the chilled prepared foods you see in the shops, which is normally sold under a retailer's label, by which we mean the shop selling, like Marks and Spencer, Sainsbury's, Tesco, as the Waitrose and so on. And the companies that make the food you don't really know about, so they're quite invisible, but they're large companies with a lot of opportunity and billions of pounds worth of business and a lot of jobs on offer. So how did I get into what I do, which is being the liaison person and running things between the government, the industry, the media and scientists? Well, I was doing my finals and biochemistry, and I thought, how on earth did those beans get in that can? So what's going on there then? So I thought, I'll have a look at food science as a master's, a sort of conversion course there. And my mother was saying to me, people need to eat, always need to eat. So there's always going to be good careers and roles in food. And she's absolutely right. And what I do, like I say, I'm a liaison between various parts of the world, like government and industry and so on. And I deal with sustainability, safety at work, science, standards and law. So formulate legislation and work with the government on legislation, and guidance and skills development. So I'm talking to you today. I work not only in the UK, but Europe, Australia, Canada, United States, and even with the United Nations on various things, and the Global Food Safety Initiative, for example. So my role is really quite international. And I really would recommend this industry as a great career. Which brings you on to Matty, who's joining us from Samworth Brothers. So Matty, over to you.
Hi everyone. Yes, so as Karin said, my name's Matty, and I work for one of the corporations that Karin was just mentioning. So my business is called Samworth Brothers, and we're a group of food manufacturers. We've got about 15 factories just in the UK we're based. But the majority of the business that we do is making products for supermarkets that have supermarkets' names on. So almost every UK supermarket we will make some sort of product for. The main types of food that we produce are all chilled foods. We do stuff like ready meals, food to go, so stuff like wraps, pasta pots, sandwiches. And I also, the site that I work at the moment, do cooked meats. So I work in a cooked meats ham factory. We also make pate and then raw, ready to cook sausages for a number of UK supermarkets. And I'm specifically on a degree apprenticeship scheme with Samworth Brothers. So that basically means that I'm doing my degree at the same time as working full time. So it's in conjunction with Sheffield Hallam University. And one of the best things about it is that it's for free. So I don't pay any tuition fees for my degree. It's covered by a government levy that Samworth pay into. So I'm earning a salary as well as not having to pay any tuition fees whilst doing an undergraduate degree. And I suppose what would I be doing on a daily basis is very dependent on the role that I'm in. So my scheme's split into 3 1-year long placements. I'm in my 3rd year at the moment. Each role that I've been in has been very different, but even within those roles themselves, I find myself doing different things on different days. So one day I could be on the factory floor trialling a new product to be launched into supermarket shelves as a process development role. Another day I might be doing an investigation in the office into an incident that's occurred, and it means that we have products on hold that we need to get out of the door as soon as possible because of the short shelf life that chilled foods tend to have. And another day, again, I could be back on the shop floor looking at our processes and making sure that I'm trying to make improvements to our processes, either from a financial saving perspective or a food safety perspective as well. So that's a bit of an insight into what I do, and I'll talk a bit more about the apprenticeship in a bit and hand back over to Karin for now.
So chilled food then, as Matty was talking about and I did a bit earlier, it's a very large industry. You just go into a supermarket and see all the refrigerated section, all the chilled food, not frozen, completely separate chilled food, which is the fresh food. And this has to be stored at no more than 5 degrees centigrade to meet its shelf life, which is the use-by date that you'll see in the pack. The shelf lives are about 2 to 10 days generally, so 2 days might be a sandwich, for example, or sushi. So these foods are called just-in-time foods and short shelf life foods, and they're made every day. The retailer will email the company, say Samworth, and say, today we want 60,000 packs of this recipe, this product, and we're going to come and pick it up at 12 o'clock with the lorries. So you have to plan ahead. That means knowing where all your raw materials, all the ingredients come from, and organising all of that and making sure it's ready in time, because a lot of them are perishable as well. And once we've made the food, it's sent out on the lorries the same day to the supermarkets. And there's no hanging around with this. It is just in time, made to order, and there are no warehouses full of food, chilled food. So this is really fast paced, and what's more, we got a lot of foods that are being made, at least 15,000 different foods every day. There's different recipes. So this is constantly changing. There's a lot of new product development, which we call NPD, which will be coming up. And the UK, we have really one of the most advanced chilled food sectors, and we practically invented this technology and this industry. And the market for chilled prepared foods is worth about £12 billion. That's 12,000 million pounds per annum. And the association that I run represents mainly some of the biggest manufacturers. Our members supply the major retailers, everything from sandwiches to ready meals and desserts, the whole meal you can have. And companies have to comply with our standards to become a member of the association, because we're all about best practice and protecting consumers. So we're going to have a look at a whole range of foods here. So these are all fresh ingredients. There could be some canned tuna in a tuna mayo sandwich, for example, but a lot of fresh ingredients which have to be sourced, and it's made all year round. These foods, there are special foods made, say at Christmas, for example, or in the summer. There could be summer ranges and Easter and various things. So a lot of creativity involved here, because we're just making foods like you do at home, except a bit more cleaner than most of our kitchens. So the food's basically split into ready to eat, like a sandwich, you just open the packet and eat it, or like the lasagna, ready to reheat. So it's been prepared already, but you need to reheat it. And there are also ready to cook foods, which normally have some raw chicken or something like that in it. So ready to eat, ready to reheat, ready to cook. And within that, you can have a mixture of raw or cooked, or raw and cooked components. So with the sandwich here, you can see some salad with some cooked meat. Looks like bacon here. So that's a ready to eat, raw and cooked mixed food. And you can see other examples here. So sushi would have some raw fish on that, and the rice is cooked as well. So there's quite a lot of complexity, but that's how we deal with it. That's how we manage it. We manage the hygiene, all the controls to make sure the food is safe as well as tasty. So examples of this: pizza, pasta, soup, sauces, dips, dressings, sandwiches, sushi, salads, snacks, ready meals, side dishes and desserts. Thousands of foods and thousands of fresh ingredients every day to make these foods. And Matty's going to have a little look at what goes into a chicken salad.
So what we want to do is try and demonstrate the scale that we work at as food industry, not just in terms of the amount of units that we produce on a daily basis, as Karin has already explained, but just how complex the supply chain of every single product that you will pick up off a supermarket shelf that falls under the chilled bracket is. So what we're going to do is look at a chicken salad, which is a product that my group make, and in 5 minutes I'm going to ask you to try and think of as many roles as you can possible that have contributed to getting that chicken salad onto the supermarket shelf. So first of all, I'm going to explain what the components of the chicken salad are, and how they would arrive at the manufacturer and then be put into a plastic pot that's got a sealed lid over it and a cardboard sleeve with all the product information on it. And I'm going to ask you guys to try and think about how many roles, and I'll explain some of those roles back to you and take you through the supply chain of that product. So, as I said, it's in a plastic bowl, and the bottom of the bowl will be a bed of prepared, chopped, washed lettuce. Then on top of that, we've got a few different components. The first of those being chicken, which is cooked and sliced. Then as well as that, we'll have some sliced tomatoes, some peppers which have been sliced and char grilled, some shredded Parmesan shavings, and then finally we'll have another pot within this plastic bowl of ranch dressing, which is sealed and comes into the final producer already sealed in a pot, and they just plop it into the salad. So starting with the lettuce, if we take that right back to where it's been grown, lettuce and quite a lot of the salads that we will take as a manufacturer are sourced seasonally. So in the summer, when the weather's good, the UK, we'll get all our lettuce from the UK, which is obviously more preferable for us in terms of air mileage. But then in the winter, when it's not, the conditions aren't favourable to grow lettuce, we'll get them from somewhere in Europe like Spain or southern France. So the grower will obviously grow this lettuce and harvest the lettuce, and then it will be sent to another factory, and that factory will prepare it. So they'll top and tail it. They'll potentially cut it into smaller pieces dependent on the specification for the food that they're working to. And then as well as that, they'll wash it. So they'll remove all of the soil and insects and debris that it would have naturally gained over the growing process. Remove that off, wash it off, and also reduce the microbial loading on that lettuce to ensure that it's safe for a consumer to then consume without getting ill. So if we move on from the lettuce, then we will look at chicken. So the chicken will obviously have been grown on a chicken farm. And from there, when it's of the right age, it will go to slaughter in a different factory, a factory dedicated to chicken slaughter. From there, it will be prepared after slaughter, potentially in the same facility, potentially not. Potentially, it will be taken to a different factory again to be chopped into its individual joints. And then it'll be cooked. So this could be through oven roasting, it could be through boiling, it could be through steam cooking. Again, completely depends on the type of chicken that you want in your finished product and the texture of that chicken. And then it'll be prepared again. So for this product, it's sliced into individual pieces, and that'll be in a high what we call a high care facility, which is a part of the factory that components have had to receive some sort of heat treatment or kill to get into. So all the components that are handled in a high care facility are safe to consume. And then we move to sliced tomato. So this is quite similar to the lettuce. It'll have been grown somewhere. Again, we'll probably source it seasonally. We take quite a lot of tomatoes from sort of Eastern Europe when conditions in the UK aren't favourable to grow them. Again, it will be taken to a processing facility that will wash it, and then we'll probably cut that on site ourselves, so it'll arrive as a whole tomato, and then on the production line that assembles the salad together, we'll slice that and put it into the salad in a presentable format, again according to the food specification that we're working to. So we'll have a document that specifies exactly what components should be within the product, what weights they should be, how they should look, and how they should taste as well. So that's tomatoes. Peppers, again, will be grown and potentially washed as well. They follow a similar supply chain to the lettuce and the tomatoes, but these are char grill peppers. So what will happen is that a facility will wash them and slice them into individual slices, and then send them to again another factory who will char grill them and cook them, and then send them into the final manufacturer, Samworth Brothers, to put into the salad. And then the final two components we've got are the Parmesan cheese and the dressing pot. The dressing pot's an interesting one because it's what we call a composite product. So it potentially got egg yolks in it, it will have seasonings in it, some oil in it as well. So every single component within that, and you look at some dressings and it can have upwards of 20 different ingredients just in this one pot of dressing, have come from a different factory. So the amount of factories, as I'm sure you can already understand, that contribute just to this one pot of salad is absolutely humongous. So they'll all come into the dressing manufacturer, who will then mix them together, potentially firmly process them, potentially not, depends on the dressing, put it into this pot, seal it off, and then send it through to us to put into the salad. And the Parmesan will obviously be the milk that's used to make that Parmesan will come from a dairy farm. That will be transported into a dairy that produced the Parmesan cheese. And then again, that cheese could potentially be shipped into another facility that will slice it and turn it into shavings before it comes into us, ready to put into the salad. So that, I've spoken through the supply chain of all the components of this product. But I want to talk through a bit more about the roles that have contributed to getting that each component to us, not only to us in time, but then onto the supermarket shelves in time. And what you've got to consider really to understand how complex this supply chain is that every single one of those components is perishable and a chilled food that probably doesn't have a shelf life of much longer than 2 weeks as an absolute maximum. But when you look at stuff like lettuce, that has a much shorter shelf life than 2 weeks. You're talking a number of days before it goes off and is no longer of a quality that you'd expect it to see it in a supermarket shelf. So the amount of planning that goes into getting those ingredients to the factory just in time to be assembled on a production line, ready to order for the customer that we're making it for, that have put that order in on that day, is humongous. And if there's one little break in that supply chain, regardless of what part of it is, that will then prevent us from being able to make that product. So every stage of the supply chain is very, very reliant on the next stage down from it, right down to the chicken farm, to the growers of the vegetables that go into the salad. So in terms of roles, the roles that will directly contribute to getting that onto a supermarket shelf are start off with the production roles. So this is the people that actually work on the factory floor, from the people that are actually placing the lettuce into the pot, to their managers who run the production line, to the production line leaders, managers who run the area as a total. And they're looking at getting that product out as efficiently as possible, saving the business as much money as they can, and making it in the not only not cheapest is probably the wrong word to use, but the most efficient and of the quality that we want them to produce it to. Then underpinning the production of that, we have a quality auditor department. So they're ensuring that all the standards that the factory are working to are of a safe nature and will not affect the finished product from a safety point of view and also a quality point of view. So they'll be potentially inspecting the line to make sure that all the products that we're producing on that line are of the specification that we've agreed to work to with the customer. They'll also be sampling the materials that come in to the factory and making sure that they're of the microbial specification that they should be at when they come into us. If they're washed, obviously we'd expect them to have a low microbial count compared to something that's come in that's still got soil all over it. So making sure that our suppliers are working to have the right controls in place to ensure that we get safe foods and can put safe foods into our products, as there's no further processing that happens on site for that. As well as that, you've got the hygiene teams that will clean the lines down and make sure that the factory's spick and span, ready for the next product. Obviously, we will handle a lot of different allergens in the area that we produce this salad in as well. So they'll have to clean lines down between production runs to make sure that we don't contaminate other products with different allergens that aren't declared on the packaging, which can obviously put the consumer at risk. Then we've got the engineers who operate the machines that potentially produce these, whatever machine it may be on a production line, and if they've got any issues and they go down, we need an engineer on standby to come and fix that machine for us. And then as well as that, we have the planning department. So I spoke before about what a massive operation it is to plan and get all of these ingredients into our factory in time to go onto that production line and be put in that pot and still give it the shelf life that we've agreed with the customer that we give it. So there's quite a few people behind that will be responsible for taking the orders from the customers and ordering in the raw materials and then planning our production schedule in the factory to make sure that we get all the products out of the door in time for getting onto the supermarket shelves. So they're who directly affect it, but we also have a lot of departments working away in the background that don't impact the actual production process itself for that day's production, but still play a big role in getting that product onto a supermarket shelf. So we've got teams like commercial who work with the product development teams that Karin spoke about earlier in developing a product and selling that to the customer and getting the customer's agreement for them to start selling it on their supermarket shelves. That process will tend to work where a customer will brief a manufacturer such as Samworth Brothers on a product that they or a range of products that they want to introduce to their supermarket shelves. Our new product development teams will go away and develop a certain number of prototype products that they'll then present back to the customer with the commercial teams in mind, making sure that all the costings and everything are correct for each ingredient, and that we as a group can make profit off it as well as the retailer for the price that we sell it to the retailer as. Then the retailer will sign that off, and it will be handed over to a team called the process development team. So they take a product from kitchen format, maybe that's 5 pots of salad that have been shown to the customer as a presentation, and then from there they'll scale it up into a 10,000, 15,000 unit run in the factory, make sure that the factory can achieve the same quality of product that kitchen has produced, and they'll be responsible not only for that, but for ensuring that we can achieve the correct shelf life on the product, the same quality aspects. The specification for the product will be written by this team and agreed with the retailer by this team. As well as that, you'll have a product specification team who are responsible for the finished product that we send to the supermarket. Every aspect of that product, from a nutritional perspective, from a microbiological perspective, from an ingredients and allergens perspective, will be inputted into a document that this team produce and again agree with the retailer. And then as well as that, we have teams such as marketing that will go out and analyse the market for salads, and make recommendations to the new product development team and the retailers for which new ingredients and products we should potentially be exploring and looking to develop products of that nature to increase our sales. So many roles, and that doesn't cover everything as well. We have other teams working on manufacturing sites such as health and safety teams that obviously work very hard as well in the general operation of the business. And you've got to think that every single component that's come into us has a similar level of roles for the ingredient that we've sent in. So it's not necessarily just that salad that we sell to the retailer that will have all of the agreed specifications and whatnot. But the peppers, the char grilled peppers that come into us, they will have another specification that come into us, and they will have a process development team, a production team, a QA team that all do the same checks that we would do, but for a latter component of the supply chain. So that demonstrates just the sheer amount of people that put effort into getting that salad onto the supermarket shelves. And I hope you understand that and appreciate next time you pick up a salad or a sandwich or whatever chilled food it may be from a supermarket shelf, the effort that goes into getting that there in the time that we need it to.
Yeah, thank you, Matty. And yes, and of course there's all the people who are growing the ingredients at the beginning of the chain as well, as you mentioned, and there are also a whole load of auditors employed, technical auditors employed by the businesses, and there's also what we call third-party auditors from independent companies whose job is to check everything on a scheduled basis, and also the retail customers audit as well. So there's several layers of scrutiny going on to make sure everything's working out, which is a whole other range of careers that require scientific and technical knowledge as well. So we're going to split this up into part 2 coming along. We're going to look at the roles in a bit of detail again, and how importantly how you can get into it, and how Matty got into this career that's going to take him all around the world if he wants, but hopefully he will stay in the UK working with us. So thank you.